patriotsecuritysystems.com. Have you ever wondered if it was legal to video or audio record someone else? Or what about someone else recording you? Stick around. In this video, we discuss that very topic. Hello everyone, Mark McElroy, President of Patriot Electronic Security Systems. Today I want to discuss the topic of video and audio recording other people, or other people recording you. But first I must get this disclaimer out of the way, and please listen very carefully to it because it is important. I am not an attorney. I am not authorized or qualified to give anyone legal advice on this or any other topic. Furthermore, the issues discussed in this video assume we are talking about laws that fall under the jurisdiction of the United States of America. Please consult your attorney for legal advice on the issues discussed in this video. At this point, you might be asking, well, if I can't give you legal advice, why are we doing this video? The answer is simple. We have clients all the time wanting to know why they or someone else can or cannot record video or audio in a given situation. And you do not have to be an attorney to discuss legal matters. Heck, cable news does it all the time. There is a difference between discussing a legal matter and giving legal advice. So now with that out of the way, on to the topic at hand. The law looks at the recording of audio and video very differently. Quite frankly, I feel the laws governing audio recordings are much more strict than that of video. Generally speaking, you can take anyone's picture without their permission as long as one important condition is met, and that is it cannot be in an area where that person can reasonably expect privacy. Now, I got to tell you, this is where the lawmakers of our federal, state, and local governments drive me nuts, because in my opinion, that wording, an area where one can reasonably expect privacy, is open to interpretation. Why can't the law be worded specifically? Quite honestly, an area where I would reasonably expect privacy may not be an area where you would reasonably expect privacy, or vice versa. So with that said, all I can tell you is my opinion on the matter. And that is, there's only a select few places we can reasonably expect privacy. And they are in a bathroom, in a bedroom, in a changing or fitting room, and in a hotel or motel room, which could fall under the category of a bedroom. Now, I know a lot of you out there just jumped out of your seats and shouted, hey, what about my own home? Certainly I'm entitled to reasonably expect privacy throughout my entire home, not just the bedrooms and the bathrooms. Well, we're going to get to that in just a minute or two. But one thing's for certain, you are not entitled to reasonably expect privacy anywhere out in public. Not on the public streets you walk or drive on, or any of the stores you visit. We've all seen those videos where a couple of people get into a disagreement and one of them pulls out their cell phone and starts taking pictures or video of the other person. And the other person insists that they stop because they didn't give them permission to take their picture. Well, chances are that if it is still photographs the person is taking, or video without audio, and I'll get into that point in a minute as well, then the person protesting is out of luck. In public, anyone can take your picture anytime without your permission. If this wasn't the case, the paparazzi would be out of business. When out in public, your picture is probably taken 100 times a day without your permission. Every time you step into a bank, a convenience store, a gas station, a restaurant, you name it, they're taking your picture, and none of them have permission to do so, nor do they need it. Now, getting back to privacy in your own home. Well, here is a classic problem of interpretation. Let's say a man suspects his wife is cheating on him, so he sets up a camera to record activities in his living room while he's at work. Remember, not the bathroom or the bedroom, his living room. Furthermore, to keep it simple, the camera he uses does not have audio recording capabilities, just video. Now let's say the camera throughout the course of the day captures some video footage of the wife. I'm not going to say what kind of footage or if the footage was incriminating because that fact is not important. It just captures video footage of the wife without her consent. Now, in your opinion, was the law broken because the wife had a reasonable expectation of privacy under those circumstances? Yes? No? Who knows? It's up to the courts to decide, and there's a good chance different courts will decide differently on similar cases because, again, the law leaves so much open to interpretation. Now let's try something interesting. For all you out there who thought that the wife did have a reasonable expectation of privacy under the scenario I just described a second ago, let's change the circumstances just a little bit. Same camera in the same living room, but this time the man is not recording the wife. This time the man and the wife are recording their nanny who watches their baby every day while they both are at work. And let's say they set up this camera because they suspect the nanny is physically abusing the child. And again, we'll say that the camera caught footage of the nanny, but again, what kind of footage isn't important. Was the law broken here because the nanny had a reasonable expectation of privacy? You see how complicated this can get? Sometimes the circumstances are more important than the room or location that the recording took place to determine if laws were broken. Now, about audio recordings. The laws are much more restrictive and complicated when it comes to recording what people are saying. Basically, it falls into two categories depending on the state that you're in. First, there are one-party consent states, meaning if you record a conversation, one party who is involved in the conversation needs to consent to the recording. Now, if you are recording a conversation and you yourself is involved in that conversation, then your consent should satisfy this legal requirement in most cases. The second category are all-party consent states. This means that in order for a conversation to be recorded, all the parties involved in the conversation needs to consent to the recording. Now again, I'm not an attorney, but it is interesting to note that it is referenced as either one party or all party consent, not one party or all party notification. The way I would interpret that is just to inform an involved person or persons that the conversation is being recorded is not enough to satisfy legal requirements. They would expressly have to consent to the recording. To further complicate this issue, in addition to state law, the federal government also has a say. The federal government has a one-party consent requirement. So if the conversation takes place in an all-party consent state, which of course falls under the umbrella of the federal government, which requires only one-party consent, which requirement needs to be met? I don't know. I'm not sure there is a right answer. If you ask two attorneys, there's a good chance you'll get two different answers. You'll probably get the same results if you ask two different judges or even two different juries. Again, we run into this problem because the law is not like mathematics. With mathematics, there's almost always an absolute answer, with some rare exceptions. With matters of law, there's almost never an absolute answer. There always seems to be a component of interpretation. If you have any questions on which states are one-party consent and which states are all-party consent, just Google it. You'll find hundreds of sites with this information. This concludes our discussion on the legality of recording video and audio as it pertains to the security alarm and closed-circuit TV industry. If you have any questions or comments, we encourage that you post them in the comments section below. If you found this video helpful, we ask that you click the like button, and we ask that you click the subscribe button to support this channel and get notified when we release a new video in the future. I'm Mark McElroy, President of Patriot Electronic Security Systems. See you next week, and until then, stay safe.